Hello everyone, you're going to be seeing this video specifically if you got questions wrong on the assignment that is up here. Um, I'm going to just go over the various answers very quickly, but again, this will only be popping up in the Google Classroom for this quiz right here for my students. So this will be an unlisted video on YouTube. You'll only get the link for it if you got a question wrong. So let's talk about this. This is all about the basics of microphones. So I'm just going to go through it. There's only 10 questions on here, and they all come from my lesson that I gave, if you're watching this the day of, earlier today. So let's look here. What kind of microphone is shown right here? So this is, I'll just say it first, a dynamic microphone. If you recall from the lesson, what's going to happen here is the sound pressure waves are going to come in and press up against this little diaphragm and push it just a little. In terms of, actual movement, it's very, very small in amount, but it's just enough that it's going to push this wire that's wrapped around a magnet. And by moving this wire around the magnet, it generates the electric current, which then gets sent out the back end down the cables to wherever we're going to send it from. I'll talk about condenser microphones in just a second, but ribbon microphones have a thin metallic strip that works like a cochlea in the human ear. So we don't see a metallic strip in this diagram. And a contact microphone, I only mentioned in passing in my lesson, but that's just a little metal disc that sits on something, and when that vibrates, it sends the electric stuff. So those are the contact microphones are similar to a diaphragm in the sense that they, are little vibrations picking up things on a metal disc, sending it out the wires. That's about it. But we don't actually use any of those in class, and I would have only said, yeah, they exist. That's about where I would have left that. Condenser microphones. So these are a little bit different than the other ones. I'm said I would skip it, so I'm not going to go over what all the other ones do. But in this one, we have the sound wave hitting this diaphragm again, and that's going to push it forwards and back with the sound pressure. But in this one, there is another metal plate here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have an incoming electrical signal that's going to electrize. It's gonna power up. I can't words today. Power up this little circuit, and as we, this plate moves closer and further away, that's going to disrupt the signal by essentially changing the resistance. That's more or less what's going on here, because when the plates are closer, more electricity can flow. I'm greatly summarizing that. But what's important is that the condenser microphones need to have electricity in order to power this little circuit and energize everything. That's the word I was looking for. And then it'll send the signal out the back. So again, the condenser microphones need power to work. The dynamic ones do not. We don't have any ribbon microphones for the classroom, or I would talk about those as well. All right, this one is kind of a freebie. I'm gonna, like I say in my feedback, just look at the picture, because the answer is in the picture. These are our class's expensive microphones. They definitely come more expensive, but of the set we have, it's the most pricey. I will say for this question and the next question here, these are all microphones that we have. It's not every single one, but it's most of them. So you can see all the stuff here. This one listed is the Shure SM58. You can tell the 58, it's more for vocals. It's got the big, wide vocal grill on it, compared to the 57, which just has a flat top. That's more for instruments and drums and things. But other than that, they're the same microphone. Okay. So, what is the human body, or what organ in the human body is the microphone most similar to? I've listed a bunch of, you know, really what I think are obvious fake answers. And then the correct one is the ear. Again, we're going to be picking up sound sources and sending it somewhere else to be interpreted or recorded. This is an ear, because that's all the ear does is it picks up the sound, converts it to a nerve impulse, sends it to the brain. The microphone converts the sound to electricity, sends it to whatever you've plugged it into. Okay. True or false? All of our microphones require an XLR cable to transmit their signal. This is true. So, none of our microphones are wireless. I should say technically the I'll adjust this question right now. So all of our microphones except all of our studio microphones, not including the snowballs. So the answer to this is true, as you can see right there. And then none of our microphones are wireless, and the standard for microphone interfaces is the XLR cable. We'll talk more about the cables and how to use them and wrap them next week on Monday. All right. So I've already talked about this one right here. Which kind of microphone does not need? Does not need phantom power, and that is the dynamic microphone. This is a little bit of a trick question. So, a ribbon microphone is in this weird category. So, older ribbon microphones and the more traditional ones, the passives, do not need phantom power, and in fact should never have them. More modern ribbon microphones are a lot more robust. They're usually called active ribbons, and a lot of the active ribbons will actually require the phantom power in order to work. This is important because, again, those older ones will, I say explode, but it'll burn out the ribbon, that electrical current, and that's a problem. Luckily, we don't have any ribbon microphones for this class, so we don't have to worry about that. Again, so I'll have mentioned that in the lesson, but a dynamic microphone, we only have dynamic and condensers in the classroom, but the dynamics have no power. The condensers need the power. And I've already mentioned that a little bit. How much electricity does phantom power supply? Phantom power is the standard at 48 volts. So on your interfaces and stuff, you'll usually see an option that'll say 48V or phantom or something like that, and that'll say, hey, we're going to energize these things. On the one I have right here in front of me on my desk, I have the option of turning them on and off in banks of 4. So just to illustrate, I got a microphone here. So just to illustrate, if I turn off phantom power, now you can not really hear me. As soon as that signal left the thing, I'll say that again. Once that electricity left the signal, you couldn't really hear me, and it stopped working. So again, that voltage is 48 volts. These other ones, I just kind of picked some random numbers, and sometimes threw in amps instead of volts. Which type of condenser microphone below is the smallest? I didn't include the pictures because this is almost another freebie because, you have the small and large diaphragm microphones. Which one do you think is going to be bigger? It's going to be the small one. And those are just, the really thin, tiny tube microphones, or more like this one right here, in terms of what a large or small diaphragm condenser mic is. We're approaching the end now, and this is which one of these microphones is side address. And I'll tell you right now, it's the first one, and that's just because you're talking into the side of the microphone instead of the front or the end right there. And I've just listed all of this at the moment. So cool. This one's debatable, option 4, but it's very clearly in the same idea as all of these, and you're pointing out the side. But someone could make a case that this one isn't technically, but I think for the context, this one's pretty obvious. I think this is the last question, yeah, and that is, which of the response patterns below is cardioid? So I've got a bunch of images here of different response patterns. And there's a few different ones here, but they're all different. These two are the same, actually. It's just this is a 3D rendering of this hypercardioid pattern. This is an omnidirectional. This one we've got kind of like a mid-side thing, so there's 4 discrete sections. And this top one here, this is cardioid. You know, it's vaguely heart-shaped. And you can kind of see, if you just ignore this smaller bubble where my mouse is, how that kind of works, where it's, you know, the microphone and then it's around the microphone. If I were to scoot my camera over, here's my microphone. So the cardioid, again, it's going to be around that front or side address of the microphone, that side, but it's only going to be picking up this section because we got the back of the microphone here, so it's going to not be as effective right behind the microphone. So that is what's being displayed here in this image. So that's it. I have one question, just, you know, put your name here. And that's, again, going through all of the bits. Again, you'll have access to this video you know, afterwards. If you got questions wrong, it'll pop up in the feedback, because you're only going to have one attempt at this, as I mentioned in class. So I want to make sure, hey, you got the info and you know all the stuff. So that's where I'm going to end it today, and I'm going to go get this video uploaded and attached into the quiz, so that way you all can see it, and hopefully this will be helpful. All right, see you all next time I see you. Bye.